So this question is basically a sort of arithmetic, compound interest type question. Finance, you can see it as being geometric series and sequences, but basically it's just basic finance with compound interest. So we're told about 3% AER, and this is an investment that's been going on for 18 years. But to start off with, they just ask us about the interest rate of 3% per annum. AER, and thereafter what's the equivalent rate at a monthly rate. So if you're getting interest every month, how would and if that was to clock up, what rate would you need to such that it would be the same as just getting one payment at the end of a year of 3%. So we're solving for this statement. They've given us this statement for an interest rate of 0.03 as a decimal, and I have to solve that. So how do I solve something to the power of 12? Well, I do the 12th root. You'd need your calculator to do that, and you'd get an answer of approximately 1.00246627. So once I take 1 away from that, I'm left with 0.024667, which simplified comes to 0.42466%. So almost 0.25% on a monthly basis is the same as 3% on an annual basis. Now we'll probably come back to that as a number later on. We'll move on to part B. It's telling us that the final amount after those 18 years is 12,768.25, and thereafter the original principal amount that was invested for 18 years at 3% that would give us that amount of money. So again, there's a formula for this. It's in the formula books, and it's F equals P multiplied by 1 plus I to the power of T, where T is the number of years, I is the interest rate, P is the principal, F is the final amount. So in this instance, we have an equation which is 12,768.25 being equal to the principal that we want to find out at an interest rate of 3%, so it's 1.03 to the power of 18. And if I work through that, I basically rearrange the equation. I am going to have to, on my calculator, do that calculation. The final amount divided by 1.03 to the power of 18. And tap, 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 I eventually end up with 7,500, and now to a number of decimal places is that, and you can see fairly clearly to 2 decimal places, because this is a money question. That would be what you would do. To 2 decimal places, it is 7,500. Moving on to part C. We're having a variety of different withdrawals from the bank account, and we're looking to see how much money we have at the end. So there's a variety of ways which you could do this, but to a certain extent, unfortunately, it's just a case of literally just churning through each step-by-step transaction and seeing what's happening to the bank account, what would be written on this bank statement year after year after year. Now he's doing it for a college course for 4 years. He's starting off with €12,768.25, and he takes straight away €3,000 at the beginning of that year, and then just work it through. Imagine you've got what have you got left? That's applied interest to, and so forth and so forth. So after our initial payment, we have €9,768, and that's put in bank account at 3%, and it grows such that at the end of the year we have 10,061 and just over 29 cents. Now you obviously can start rounding. Now whether you definitely round as you go along, I think for money you really should do, because you're imagining this is in a bank account. We then subtract 3,000 from that, and such that we have 7,061 and 30 cent, and that again during the second year at 3%, we end up with 7,273 and 14 cent when rounded. Again, we take away 3,000 from that, and so in year 3 it earns again 3% of that, and we end up with 4,401 and 33 cent. And then again at the beginning of the fourth year we take another 3,000 away from that bank account, and that sits there at 3%, and we end up with 1,443 and 37 cent. Now, some of you who might have done some parts of the Leaving Cert high-level syllabus and done some work on geometric series in sort of finance questions might be able to approach this question in a different way, but this, to be honest with you, is whilst a bit frustrating to go through all those steps, is probably the best way of getting the job done. Just imagine what's happening to the money step by step by step as the years go on. Moving on to part D. We're leaving behind the question of his savings for his college fees. This is effectively a completely different question, just tagged on with the same made-up scenario. So we have a distance travelled of 16 kilometres in both directions. So our total distance travelled is going to be 2 lots of that, which is 32 kilometres. And the fuel, well, we're told that for every 100 kilometres actually travelled, he uses 2.5 litres, and we've got a price of 1.4 euros per litre. So, in terms of fuel usage, okay, how can we look at this? Well, we've got 32 kilometres, so as a fraction of 100 kilometres, that's 32 out of 100, and so that's that fraction of 2.5. So we find that we've used up 0.8 litres, and the cost is going to be that 0.8 lots of €1.40, which works out as €1.12. We're given an alternative scenario of taking the bus. The bus is €21.50. Compared to the 5 days of spending €1.12, which works out as €5.60, what's the saving if you took the scooter? Because obviously the scooter's a far cheaper option. We'll just find out the difference between the two amounts. And we find our saving is €15.90. Finally, he wants to consider this option of the scooter compared to the bus tickets. So there's 2 ways of going about this. The long way around is to say, right, okay, well, the bus tickets of €21.50 for 14 weeks per semester, which is 2 of them, and that's for 4 years. That gives us a total cost taking the bus of 2,408. If we take that's the bus. Now, if we take our fuel amount and we consider, right, our fuel costs are €5.60, again for 14 weeks, for 2 semesters, for 4 years, that works out as 627.20 cents. And so the difference between those values is 1,780 and 80 cents. So that's one way of approaching the question. The other way, considering the framework they've given you, you're looking at a saving between the bus and the fuel costs of the scooter of €15.90. So if we imagine those savings we made each week, each semester, each year, those savings amount also to 1,780 and 80 cents. So it's 2 different ways of getting the same answer.